privatization, yes, we did know that when Labour went on strike, they listed as part of the conditions to revisit, if not reverse, the privatization of the PHCN. We also have heard recently from workers, from aviation workers, some of them say they will protest the planned privatization of some of the airports, and then leading to the question, what is it that we're missing about the concept of privatization? We've got Mr. Pascal Udegbo here with us. He's a financial consultant. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you once again.
It's meant to be a good thing to ensure that sectors move and you move the country forward. But if groups like this are saying no, it means that they think perhaps we're not going about it the right way. Do you think so?
There are two things really for me. I think the Labour's people are reacting to experience. Okay, and secondly, I think also it has to do with knowledge, because that which you don't understand, you will abuse. I think the experience of labor or workers over the years in circumstances and situations like this, it has always led to some kind of job loss. And you know, there is nothing you can do about that, because what anybody who owns an asset always looks for is efficiency, which is optimal use of the assets. And that will, of course, will mean that you will have reason to ask people that are there but are not doing anything, you know, to upskill or to cross-skill. And then if any of this does not happen, to outskill, you know. So that's where they're looking at it. But I think governments should spend a lot much more time on letting labor understand, letting Nigerians. Labor does not own the assets. There are four key people that use the airport. Five, including the passengers, but they're never considered in privatization. The federal government, in the case of Nigeria. In some other crimes, it is the local or regional government that own the airports. Which is why, you know, Nigerians keep talking about this restructuring thing. Because it's something that yields money to the owners. Then you have the investors who are coming in, who, of course, want to invest money and bring back the airport to a place where it should be, where it will make money, not only for them, but also for the government. Then, of course, you have all the people that use it. Now, the workers there are working there for economic reasons. And because labor is organized, I've always asked that labor be part of the negotiation. You can't stop it, no matter how much you protest.
But you know,
because it's an asset that government wants to ensure that it performs.
But you know, this is not the first time we've seen some of them up in arms about some of these processes, because don't forget the concept of PPP, even though BPE cites about 160 of those transactions has been done and 60% of them are successful, but you have stakeholders, as they like to refer themselves to, saying some part of that was not properly taken care of. So that then leads us to, in terms of, let's look at capacity now of the private sector. Because when some of them take over the assets, they usually raise questions about the liabilities of some of those. So in that particular case where they say, well, if we're going to privatize this and you don't take care of the backlog of the liabilities, but you want to go about it in a certain way, and they feel, no, labor insists that, no, we think it should go this way. How should that be structured? Because I'm not sure you can actually get 100% satisfaction of all parties, can you?
No, you can't. But you will try. Let me put it this way. Don't forget what you're looking at. I keep repeating this, is asset efficiency. Now, one of the first things you're going to do is to get out anything that represents a clock towards efficiency in the system. And what causes most of the things that causes this inefficiency in the system is distortions in the processes, which will include, of course, HR hiring. So my take here, and I keep saying this, is to bring labor must upskill to be part of the privatization negotiations, the concession negotiations. And you know, I've been to Labour House before, and I've met a lot of very intelligent people there. So they need to be able to understand how to, at the back end, negotiate. Because at the front end, everything you negotiate at the back end will reflect in user fees. By the way, let me tell you, there are so many types of privatization or concessioning that does not necessarily bring some measure of pressure on the users, like toll. You can amortize payment to those who build the assets over years from government coffers.
But
especially in such areas where you believe that those things are not economically viable. But something like an airport, you will like railway, you will recover your money by ticketing.
Mr. Dibo,
Yeah.
there's other argument of concessioning is just like saying you've just won the battle but not the war, because the inefficiency in the system is still there. Even the process of concessioning sometimes is not as transparent and as straightforward as it should be. So at the end of the day, you find these things go back and forth, and you still don't get the desired result. How do we go about this?
Listen, let me tell you something. You know, I was in a conference yesterday by a very good friend, Bolaji, at Chapel Hill, and that was great that, you know, it put together and brought people together. One of the things we came to agree is that there must be a national consensus as to how we want to deal with the infrastructure deficit in this country. If we want to pussyfoot, that's okay. They're going to be having this conversation for another 10, 20 years. If you want to take the bull by the horn, then you will have to deal with this kind of issues. You know, another thing that came out of that conference was that, you know, you don't suffer from analysis paralysis, which is continuously discussed as to how. You need to put your feet in the mud and get it going. You may make some mistakes. Look at the Moratala MMA2. Look at certain assets. Look at the Lekki Egbe Express Road. Look at those things. Look at even the BRT in Lagos. It's partially a PPP. So the point I'm making here is that you must look at the front end. What is it that this will do? We have it on record by research, by World Bank, that a 1% increment in your road architecture shoots up your GDP by 1%. So these are clear-cut pathways to follow. Now, how you get about it will require ingenuity, creativity, and innovation on the part of those championing this privatization. That is why I'm happy. I mentioned at that time that there's a new chap on board at ICRC, Chidi, who I think has the vision, has the capacity and the strength to be able to rally these people to a place where they will see collective vision. I also think that someone like Aviation Minister also understands these things. So they need to be able to bring these people to the table and negotiate it in such a manner that there is a buy-in. This is the way to go. If we're to use the base money that Nigeria has, she will not be able to recover or close up the gap that she already has in another 30, 40 years.